What if I told you that a dog owns a mansion, flies on private jets, and has a net worth higher than most celebrities? Sounds like a joke, right? But this is 100% real. Meet Gunther IV, a German Shepherd who inherited a $400 million fortune and became one of the richest people in the world. He owns luxury estates, eats gourmet meals prepared by private chefs, and even has a team of financial advisors managing his wealth. But how did a dog get so rich? And who's really pulling the strings behind this bizarre story? Stay with me because the truth behind the billionaire dog is crazier than you can imagine. Money, mansions, luxury cars, these are things we associate with the world's richest people. But what if I told you that one of the wealthiest individuals in history isn't even a person? In fact, he walks on four legs, wags his tail, and barks. Meet Gunther IV, the German Shepherd who inherited a mind-blowing $400 million fortune. Yes, you heard that right. A dog richer than most millionaires on the planet. But how did this happen? Who gave a dog millions of dollars? And how does a pet even own things like a mansion in Miami, a fleet of luxury cars, and a private chef serving him the finest meals money can buy? To understand the insane reality of Gunther's billionaire lifestyle, we need to go back in time to the story of a mysterious German countess, an unexpected will, and a secret that will leave you questioning everything. It all started decades ago with a woman named Countess Carlotta Liebenstein. She was an eccentric, ultra-wealthy German aristocrat who had no children, no heirs, just one deep, undying love for her beloved dog, Gunther II. When she passed away in 1992, she did something that shocked the world. Instead of leaving her vast fortune to charities, friends, or distant relatives, she made an unexpected decision. She left everything to her dog. That's right, her German Shepherd, Gunther II, inherited her entire estate, making him one of the wealthiest individuals in history. But here's where things get even stranger. A dog obviously can't manage fortune on its own. So, to handle Gunther's wealth, a trust fund was set up in his name with a group of highly skilled financial advisors, business managers, and caretakers making all the decisions on his behalf. And when Gunther I passed away, his son Gunther IV inherited everything, continuing the bizarre legacy of the billionaire dog. So what exactly does a multi-millionaire dog do with his fortune? Well, Gunther IV's lifestyle is unlike anything you'd expect. He owns a $29 million mansion in Miami, a mansion that once belonged to the legendary Madonna. He has private security, personal chefs, and a collection of luxury cars. He's been seen vacationing on yachts, traveling in private jets, and dining in exclusive restaurants. But wait, there's more. Because behind Gunther's glamorous life lies a hidden truth, a secret that will change the way you see this entire story. And trust me, you're not going to believe what's coming next. Imagine waking up in a $29 million mansion overlooking the ocean. Your personal chef is already preparing a gourmet breakfast, steak, caviar, and the finest cuts of meat. You stretch, take a lazy walk around your private estate, and then step into one of your luxury cars, maybe a Lamborghini or a Rolls-Royce, for a casual ride around town. Later, you hop onto your private jet for a weekend getaway in the Bahamas. Sounds like a dream, right? But this isn't the life of a Hollywood celebrity or a tech billionaire. This is the everyday reality of Gunther IV, the world's richest dog. Since inheriting his $400 million fortune, Gunther IV has been living like royalty. Unlike normal dogs who chase tennis balls, Gunther chases real estate deals, private islands, and high-profile investments. But here's the strangest part: his fortune keeps growing. Thanks to the brilliant team of financial advisors managing his wealth, Gunther IV has turned a massive inheritance into an even bigger empire. And his assets? They're unbelievable. In 2000, Gunther IV's trust fund made headlines worldwide when he purchased a $29 million mansion that once belonged to Madonna. That's right, this German shepherd was now living in a luxurious 8-bedroom waterfront estate in Miami, complete with a swimming pool, extravagant gardens, and a personal staff catering to his every need. And guess what? Gunther didn't just live in the mansion, he hosted elite parties, walked through its grand hallways like a true king, and had his own custom-designed velvet bed in the master suite. Just imagine that, a dog sleeping in a bed fit for a celebrity. But that was just the beginning. Over the years, Gunther IV's trust fund bought and sold multiple luxury properties, including mansions in Italy, Germany, and the Bahamas. And every time a property was sold, the profits were reinvested, making the billionaire dog even richer. But what's a billionaire lifestyle without some luxury rides? While most dogs are happy with a ride in the back of a car, Gunther IV had his own fleet of exotic cars. We're talking about Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Rolls-Royces, and even a custom-designed BMW with leather seats made specifically for him. Of course, Gunther never drove them himself, but his caretakers made sure he arrived everywhere in style. And yes, before you ask, Gunther only traveled first class. When he wasn't in his chauffeur-driven limousine, he was flying in private jets. In fact, he's been spotted boarding luxury jets alongside his handlers, flying off to 5-star resorts and private islands where he could relax in the sun, free from the stress of managing his growing empire. You might be wondering, what does a multi-millionaire dog eat? Kibble? Kibble? Canned food? Absolutely not. Gunther's personal chefs prepare only the finest gourmet meals. His diet includes premium steak, truffle-infused dishes, imported cheeses, fresh seafood, and even caviar. Every meal is carefully designed to provide maximum nutrition and taste because, of course, a billionaire dog only eats the best. But here's where things get even crazier. Gunther IV has been served meals on solid gold plates at some of the most expensive restaurants in the world. He even has a reserved table at elite dining spots where wealthy celebrities dine right alongside him. Imagine walking into a 5-star restaurant expecting to see billionaires and CEOs, and instead you see a German shepherd sitting like a king eating a $1,000 steak. It sounds unreal, but it happened. And this was just a normal day in Gunther IV's life. But Gunther IV wasn't just a passive millionaire, he became a true celebrity. In his own right, he attended elite fashion events, posed for magazine covers, and was even the subject of TV documentaries. He has rubbed shoulders with Hollywood stars, royalty, and world-famous entrepreneurs. Everyone wanted a picture with him. After all, how often do you meet a dog that's richer than most people? His fame skyrocketed when journalists began investigating his wealth, uncovering more and more bizarre facts about his estate. Gunther's story became a global sensation, leading to viral news articles, TV interviews, and even sponsorship deals. That's right, brands wanted to be associated with the billionaire dog. From luxury Pete accessories to designer clothing lines, Gunther IV had exclusive deals worth millions. It was as if he was a true business mogul. So far, Gunther IV's life sounds like a fairy tale, a lucky dog, a massive fortune, and an extravagant lifestyle. But here's where things take a bizarre turn. Because behind all this glitz and glamour, there was a hidden truth. A truth that nobody saw coming. You see, while Gunther IV was paraded as the richest dog in history, some investigative reporters started asking questions. How did his fortune keep growing so fast? Who was really behind the trust fund? And was this billionaire dog story as real as it seemed? The deeper they dug, the more they found, and the truth about Gunther's empire was about to be exposed. Because what if I told you that everything you just heard might not be exactly what it seems? That Gunther's millions weren't really his and that someone else had been pulling the strings all along? What was the real story behind the billionaire dog? And who was truly controlling his wealth? The answers will shock you. Up until now, everything about Gunther IV's life has seemed like an unbelievable fairy tale. A dog with hundreds of millions of dollars, a trust fund, growing larger by the year, and a lifestyle that even Hollywood celebrities would envy. But something wasn't adding up. The deeper reporters and investigators looked into Gunther's wealth, the more suspicious thing became. And then the truth finally came out, a truth that shocked the entire world. Because here's the reality. Gunther IV wasn't really a billionaire dog at all. It all started when investigative journalists began questioning the legitimacy of Gunther's enormous fortune. How was it possible that a single dog's inheritance had grown into a $400 million empire? How was it that he was constantly buying and selling real estate, investing in stocks, and expanding his assets? Could a dog really be this financially strategic? Something wasn't right. Then, reporters took a closer look at the trust fund supposedly controlling Gunther's money. And that's when things got suspicious. Because instead of being managed by an anonymous financial group, the trust fund was actually being controlled by a group of wealthy investors, artists, and businessmen, led by one mysterious figure, a man named Maurizio Mian. Maurizio Mian was an Italian entrepreneur and pharmaceutical heir. He was the owner of a company called Istituto Gentili, a pharmaceutical firm that made millions from selling drugs used for osteoporosis treatments. When journalists uncovered that he was behind Gunther's trust fund, everything suddenly started to make sense. Because Maurizio wasn't just a businessman, he was a marketing genius. For decades, Maurizio Mian had been using the story of Gunther IV as a publicity stunt, a way to create viral news stories that would draw global attention. Every time a new crazy story about Gunther IV appeared, whether it was about him buying a mansion, attending a VIP event, or selling property, it was actually a carefully orchestrated PR campaign to boost Maurizio's own business interests. In reality, Gunther's trust fund was not a real inheritance from a German countess. The entire backstory about Countess Carlotta Liebenstein leaving her fortune to a dog, it was completely made up. There was no record of her existence. There was no actual will. The entire billionaire dog empire was a brilliant marketing scheme, and it had worked for decades. So why did Maurizio Mian and his team go to such extreme lengths to create this story? The answer is simple: money, attention, and real estate investments. Gunther IV's name was used as a front to buy and sell luxury properties, increasing their value while making headlines. Every time the media reported on Gunther IV buying Madonna's mansion, the property's worth skyrocketed. The same strategy was used in Italy, Germany, the U.S., and the Bahamas. Luxury estates were being flipped for massive profits, all under the illusion that a dog was making the deals. It wasn't just about real estate, though. The billionaire dog brand brought in millions of dollars in sponsorships, advertisements, and partnerships. Companies paid huge sums of money just to be associated with the world's richest dog. Luxury brands, pet accessory companies, even high-end food brands all wanted a piece of the publicity. And every time a journalist tried to dig into Gunther's finances, a new bizarre story was released to distract from the truth. Remember the $29 million Miami mansion bought by Gunther IV? The one that made headlines because it once belonged to Madonna? Well, here's the shocking truth: Gunther never actually bought the house. It was Maurizio Mian's company that purchased it, but by using Gunther IV's Name the deal. It instantly became a viral sensation. News outlets around the world ran with the story, making the property even more desirable. Years later, when the house was sold again, it was actually just another relic. A state trick flipping the mansion under Gunther's brand to sell it for an even higher price. And this wasn't the only time it happened. Every few years, Maurizio and his team would announce that Gunther IV was making a new extravagant purchase, whether it was a luxury yacht, a rare diamond collar, or an island in the Caribbean. The media would eat it up. People would believe the legend, and the real businessmen behind the scenes would quietly make their profits. For years, the Gunther empire ran smoothly until journalists, investigators, and skeptical internet users started asking too many questions. The deeper they dug, the more inconsistencies they found. Eventually, Maurizio Mian was forced to admit the truth. In an interview, he confessed that the entire Gunther IV story had been exaggerated and that the dog empire was nothing more than a publicity stunt used for marketing. But by the time the truth came out, it didn't even matter anymore. The legend of Gunther IV had already made millions. The brand was built, the luxury properties had been bought and sold, and Maurizio Mian's businesses had gained worldwide recognition. The billionaire dog might not have been real, but the money it made was very, very real. So, after all the lies and the deception, what happened to Gunther IV? Well, here's the funny part: Gunther IV was always real. The dog actually existed. But while the world saw him as a billionaire living a high-class lifestyle, in reality, he was just a regular pet owned by Maurizio Mian and his associates. Sure, he probably ate fancy food and lived in nice places, but he was never truly managing a fortune. He was simply the face of a carefully designed illusion. And despite everything, Gunther IV still remains one of the most famous dogs in history. His name is forever linked to one of the biggest publicity stunts ever pulled off. Even though the billionaire story was exposed as a lie, the myth of the world's richest dog continues to live on. At the end of the day, the story of Gunther IV isn't really about a dog becoming a billionaire. It's about how a well-crafted illusion can manipulate the media, control public perception, and turn a simple pet into an international icon. Maurizio Mian and his team played the world like a game, and they won. They created a story so bizarre, so impossible to believe, that people couldn't resist sharing it. And in the end, the legend of Gunther IV became bigger than the truth itself. For decades, the world was fascinated by the story of Gunther IV, the multi-millionaire German shepherd who lived in mansions, ate gourmet meals, and traveled in private jets. People believed it, news agencies reported it, and social media spread it like wildfire. But when the truth finally came out that the entire billionaire dog empire was nothing more than an elaborate marketing scheme, the reaction was explosive. At first, many people refused to believe it. How could a story that had been reported for years be fake? How could so many reputable news sources have been fooled? But as more details emerged, and Maurizio Mian himself admitted the deception, reality set in. The billionaire dog was a publicity stunt, a clever, calculated illusion designed to make millions. Social media erupted with reactions. Some people found it hilarious, admiring the sheer brilliance of the marketing scheme. Others felt betrayed, realizing they had fallen for a hoax. Many started questioning how easily the media can be manipulated. The entire saga became a case study in viral deception, proof that a story, no matter how absurd, can spread if told the right way. One of the biggest shocks in the aftermath was how mainstream media had reported on Gunther IV for years without ever fact-checking the story properly. Huge news organizations, including the Associated Press, the New York Times, and CNN, had all covered the billionaire dog story at some point. Not once did anyone dig deep enough to uncover the truth behind the trust fund. But why did the media fall for it? Simple. The story was too bizarre to ignore. A dog inheriting millions? That's headline gold. Journalists, always on the lookout for viral, click-worthy stories, jumped on it without questioning the details. And every time the legend was repeated, it gained more credibility, making it harder to challenge. This scandal forced many media outlets to reflect on their fact-checking practices. It exposed how easy it is for sensationalized stories to spread even when they're not entirely true. Some news agencies issued retractions, while others tried to laugh it off. But one thing was clear: the world had just witnessed one of the greatest media manipulations of all time. While Gunther IV never truly owned his fortune, were the people behind the scam, particularly Maurizio Mian and his business empire. His team had used Gunther's brand to flip luxury properties, secure sponsorship deals, and attract millions of dollars in investments. The fake billionaire dog wasn't just a fun gimmick. It was a calculated strategy to make real money. Even after the truth came out, the damage was already done, or rather, the profits had already been made. The Gunther Trust had bought and sold multi-million-dollar properties in Miami, Italy, and the Bahamas. By linking the billionaire dog to these purchases, they had artificially boosted the value of these estates, allowing them to resell for even higher prices. But the biggest financial win? The publicity itself. The Gunther story had become one of the most viral hoaxes in history. Coverage worth tens of millions of dollars. Even after being exposed, it continued to be discussed, analyzed, and debated, keeping Maurizio Mian's name relevant in the business world. Despite the scandal, Gunther IV continued to live in luxury. After all, he was never aware of the deception. He was just a regular dog with an extravagant lifestyle. His caretakers still pampered him with the finest food, allowed him to roam around luxury estates, and ensured he remained the face of the legend. However, after the media frenzy, Gunther IV slowly faded from the spotlight. The viral story no longer had the same shock value, and as more people became aware of the truth, the novelty wore off. But even though he was not longer in the news, Gunther IV remained one of the most famous dogs in history, a living reminder of how a well-crafted hoax can fool the entire world. So, what does the story of Gunther IV teach us? At its core, this isn't just a story about a dog. It's a lesson in media manipulation, viral marketing, and the power of storytelling. The Gunther hoax worked because people wanted to believe it. The idea of a billionaire dog was so absurd yet entertaining that it made for the perfect viral story. It played on people's curiosity and their love for bizarre, larger-than-life narratives. Gunther IV's story proved that even the most reputable news sources can fall for misinformation. It exposed how modern journalism often prioritizes clicks over accuracy, and how even the most ridiculous stories can spread if they're marketed the right way. At the end of the day, the Gunther empire was a business move. It was a calculated strategy to increase property values, gain brand sponsorships, and attract media attention. And even though it was a lie, it made millions of dollars in real profit. The story of Gunther IV will go down in history as one of the most brilliant and bizarre marketing schemes ever created. A lie so outrageous that it became too big to question. A deception so well crafted that it fooled the entire world for decades. So, was this a scam? Or was it a marketing masterpiece? Maybe it was both. But one thing is certain: Gunther IV will always be remembered, not as a real billionaire, but as the greatest hoax in luxury history. At first glance, the story of Gunther IV the billionaire dog seems like an amusing, feel-good tale, a lucky dog inheriting a fortune, living in luxury. and enjoying the kind of lifestyle most people could only dream of. But when you look deeper, you realize this wasn't just a story about a dog getting rich. This was a carefully crafted illusion designed to manipulate public perception, fool the media, and generate millions of dollars in real wealth. So, what do we learn from all of this? Let's break it down. One of the biggest reasons Gunther IV's hoax lasted so long was because it was a great story. People love bizarre, over-the-top tales, and the idea of a dog inheriting millions was too good to resist. The more outrageous the details became mansions, luxury cars, yachts, the more viral the story went. This proves that a well-told story can spread faster than the truth itself. Gunther IV's story was reported by major news outlets for years, without anyone seriously fact-checking it. Why? Because it was entertaining. News agencies prioritize clicks over credibility, proving that even major media companies can be manipulated. This reminds us to question what we see in the news, because just because something is reported widely doesn't mean it's true. At the heart of this story was a business strategy, not just a joke. Maurizio Mian and his team used the power of viral marketing to increase property values, attract sponsorships, and generate millions of dollars in profit. The Billionaire dog brand became a tool for free advertising, proving that if you control the narrative, you control the money. Perhaps the most fascinating lesson of all is how eager people were to believe this story. Why? Because it was fun, and we love stories that challenge our perception of reality. This shows how easily public perception can be shaped, and why so many hoaxes, whether in business, media, or even history, can last for decades before the truth comes out. The Gunther IV hoax wasn't just a prank, it was an experiment in human psychology, media influence, and business strategy. It worked because people wanted it to be true, because the media failed to do their job, and because storytelling is one of the most powerful tools in the world. So, next time you hear a too-good-to-be-true story, ask yourself, is this real? Or is someone behind the scenes pulling the strings? Because as we've seen today, sometimes the truth is far stranger than fiction. So, now that you know the insane truth behind Gunther IV, the so-called billionaire dog, what do you think? Were you surprised? Shocked? Or maybe you're wondering how many other viral stories out there are actually just carefully crafted hoaxes? Because if this could fool the world for decades, imagine what else might be out there. I want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and tell me, did you believe the story before hearing the truth? And do you think this was a scam, or was it just a genius marketing strategy? Let's start a conversation. And hey, if you love mind-blowing true stories, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We uncover hidden secrets, unbelievable histories, and shocking truths every single week. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Trust me, it's even crazier than this. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes reality is just a well-told story. See you in the next one.